Hi everyone, welcome. My name's Alice. I'm the Corporate Education Officer at Colibin Water, and today I'm here with Katrina, who is Western Port Water's Communication and Engagement Officer.
Good morning everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
In 2020, National Water Week and Book Week are on at the same time. We were really excited to talk to an author and illustrator about their water-themed book. And this is the book we've found. It's When Water Lost Her Way by Meg Humphrys. As well as being an author and illustrator, Meg has another interesting job too. She is a wastewater and sustainability officer at Western Port Water. Water danced through her forms as she always had. She swirled, tumbled, and somersaulted across the sky. Melting, sweeping, and seeping down into darkness, she was carried along by waves of the ocean and lifted back to the vast skies again. She felt light and happy and enjoyed her motion. She never thought about what she was doing or where she was going.
So Meg, your main job is a water scientist. What exactly do you do in your role and how does it fit into the water cycle?
My role now, I work as a wastewater and sustainability officer, and I work at the very end of the urban water cycle. So all of the water that goes through the taps, dishwasher, shower, toilet, it all ends up at a wastewater treatment plant. And from there, the water gets treated to a standard where it's safe to re-enter the environment.
Why exactly did you want to write about the water cycle? What made you choose that?
I wrote about the water cycle because to me, water is everything. I grew up spending a lot of time at the beach. I love surfing, that calming feeling that I get when I'm around water and lakes and streams. So there's that emotional connection that I have with water and also the professional scientific connection.
She seeped underground below the river stones and sand into darkness. Meg, I love your groundwater and aquifer illustrations. The water we can see here is groundwater, and the colourful rocks are called the aquifer. An aquifer is a collection of wet underground rocks that allow water to pass through them slowly. Groundwater and aquifers are hard for people to imagine, but your images show it for what it really is. Layers of rocks that can become saturated in water, allowing the water to move around. How else do you explain groundwater or aquifers to people?
What we've built here is what you can imagine underground. This pink marshmallows at the bottom is like cracks in the rock underground the earth. So we're going to call that our fractured rock aquifer. The Tim Tams here, and if you look closely, you can see some layering in the Tim Tams. Imagine that to be a thick clay layer. And it's very hard for the water to get through this layer. So it's called an aquitard. And on top of it, the white marshmallows, this marshmallow's been chopped up a little bit, and this is more of our surface aquifer. So it's closer to the Earth's surface, and the little bit of chocolate bits on the top there are kind of our soil profile. So you can imagine that. This straw is going to be our groundwater ball. So imagine this is the rain. It's recharging. Can everybody see the level where the milk has reached? You can think about that as the groundwater level. The groundwater level in the lower aquifer, being the pink marshmallow aquifer.
Until one day, on an extended journey underground, a cave salamander asked her, "Where are you from? And where do you go?" Water had never really considered this. She tried to explain. "I'm from the sky." "No, the ocean. Actually, the mountains." "Sounds like you don't know where you're from or where you're going," the salamander said with a smirk. "I have lived in this cave all my life, and I know all its crevices. I have no sight, but I know my surrounds. And you say you're from the sky? I doubt that very much." Meg, I found a picture of a cave salamander to show everyone. As you know, the book week theme is Curious Creatures, Wild Minds. And as well as being a bit of a know-it-all, I think that your cave salamander is a very curious creature. Can you tell us a bit about them, please?
They are really well adapted for a cave environment, so they are pretty much blind, and they have no pigment in their skin, so their skin is quite a white, sort of translucent colour, because they don't need any pigment because they survive in darkness. And this character was really important because I thought water had to be thrown by something, and if you were a cave salamander and had never been out in the light of day, would you find it hard to believe that water could be in all these places and be doing all these things? It just seemed really natural to me that that would be the case, and I think it invites us to think about where different people come from based on their experience, and imagine all of the things that we don't know based on what we can't see or hear. And there's a lot of different wild and wonderful creatures out there that have, unique adaptations. So the cave salamander has extra amazing hearing, far more better than we could hear. So imagine all of the extra bits of information that salamander would get.
When I read When Water Lost Her Way with my daughter Meg, she asked me whether it was a fiction or a non-fiction book. And I wanted to ask you the same question.
So this book is actually a fictional book. It has a story to it. And I did that because I wanted to be a bit creative in the way that I presented the story. I didn't want it just to be fact and figures. I wanted to engage the reader and be able to bring in more to the story. So for example, water goes on a bit of a journey, and I think everyone can kind of relate to feeling like they're unsure about where they're going or what they're doing and questioning themselves. And so that was a really great way to introduce the reader to all parts of the water cycle through water questioning where she belongs and where she's going. So
what did you want to be when you grew up, Meg? What were you interested in when you were in primary school? Can you tell the kids about that?
When I was at primary school, I would have never, ever believed I would be doing what I do today, and that I would have even written a book like this either. No idea. I loved art, sport, basketball. I was in a big family. And I actually remember saying I didn't like maths and I'd never have a job that had any maths in it. And I actually do a lot of work with schools in STEM stuff. And I imagine speaking to my younger self saying, look, Meg, the sciences is where it's at. There's so much incredible work that you can do from studying science and maths and how important they are as a good foundation to build upon. But having said that, I still, really value the arts.
After falling from the sky, water was picked up and tumbled by a wave in the open ocean. Her mind was clear. She began again to dance through her cycle, immersed in the moment, in her ever-changing forms.